Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wingcat Sports, and it's our weekly Red Wing video with the rumor mill going around, figuring out what's going on with the Red Wings. Not too much like usual, though, as the finals, the last game is tonight, potentially, probably. We'll see what ends up happening with the Stanley Cup final night. But into the Red Wings. Main news this week that I saw pop up was that Wings are going to be looking into Martin Necas. I don't think they're actually going to do anything with it. He's a pretty good forward on Carolina. But I do not think the Red Wings are going to do much with trading it for anybody.
I mean, I don't know how much truth there is in any of that. I mean, they'd have to give up quite a bit to get him.
I heard they're just keeping an eye on him, more or less. So that there wasn't that they're going to be high in the trade, but they're seeing what might be possible to get him. I mean, he played 77 games this season, 24 goals, 29 assists. So, average forward, 24 goals is pretty good to help with the season. About what Patrick Kane had. So, I mean...
Yeah, how many games did he play compared to Patrick Kane?
He played more games.
Played more games, right? So...
But
I don't... Yeah, that doesn't excite me all that much.
Just keeping an eye on it. I mean,
I'm kind of happy with our forwards. Like I said, I'm kind of curious if they're going to do something to beef up the D. Get rid of Holl, get rid of Petrie if they can. It sounds like they're going to keep Petrie, though.
There's a couple other forwards that have hit the trade market. Mitch Marner was kind of known a little bit ahead of time that he probably could be traded out of Toronto, given the right circumstances, because Toronto can't keep everyone.
To add to our big giant wusses.
Other players who requested a trade this week was Patrick Laine out of Columbus. Wants out of Columbus.
Yeah.
So
I like him.
He's a possibility if the Wings want to trade for somebody. They could be going after Patrick Laine. I don't think they will. Like I said, I think the Wings are kind of going to be a little bit quieter on the free agent front, at least for forwards. They maybe not so much on a defenseman route or goalie route, but I think the forwards are kind of where they want them to be. And they're not really going to be trying to do too much with that.
They're still trying to re-sign people. I mean,
you haven't heard anything on the re-signings.
Nothing's really going to happen, I don't think, till after the draft. And it's just, are we going to re-sign Patrick Kane?
Are we
going to re-sign David Perron? We have to sign Berggren. We have to sign Johansson.
There hasn't been much going on. Like, I haven't heard anything besides the fact that they were starting their talks with everybody. But besides that, there hasn't been much other news on those possible re-signings and extensions for those players. And it is what it is. I mean, we're basically waiting for free agency to start at this point. Deal will probably get done a little bit closer to free agency. But there's not much other going on involving our forwards right now and who we're keeping, who we're not keeping. I haven't heard anything about the extensions for Seider and Raymond. It's been pretty quiet amongst all the rumor sites that you can check and where we're at. Now, I have seen that people think Lalonde's on a hot seat. It don't even matter. He's on the last year of his deal.
Right.
Ain't no hot seat if he ain't going to get fired. He just won't get re-signed.
Yeah, of course it's a hot seat. I think this is playoff or bust for him. I don't think they'll retain him if he doesn't make the playoffs this year.
Probably not. Like I said, 3 years, they won't bring him back. Unless they fall flat on their face to start the season, he will coach to the end of the year. And depending on how we finish, will determine if he comes back next year. It's going to be one of those rare situations where a coach actually doesn't get fired. He just doesn't get re-signed.
Right.
Because most of the time when a coach leaves, it's not because their contract
we
ran out.
We don't owe him any money.
You don't owe him any money.
Not that it counts against the cap anyway, so it doesn't matter to us. But, whatever.
So there ain't other much things going on right now. I mean, apparently the Wings are undecided on whether or not they want to keep Holl or not. They're still on the fence about it.
It's pretty
but I mean, he has 2 years left on his deal. And you signed him to a 3-year deal, which, I mean, when we first found out about that signing last offseason, we were a little bit confused about it. on why it was so the way it was. But
it's a tough part of sports because you're overpaying for these guys and they don't expect you're expecting something from them. They don't produce the way you want them to, and what are you going to do? I'd love to see them get rid of Holl. Just buy him out.
You say he played 38 games last year.
You can't get a trade for him.
38. So they might try to buy out, or they might try to, trade him. But we'll see what ends up happening. Because again, you have Johansson coming up next year. He has to play unless you're putting him on waivers, which you aren't going to do.
Right.
Someone has to go. Petrie or Holl are your main candidates in that lineup right now if you want to improve. Because you probably want Evanson back up. You're not going to bring probably Evanson up if you're just going to stick with what you have because Johansson's going to replace Gostisbehere's spot, but he wants to bring back Gostisbehere. So someone has to go.
Someone has to go.
So for what they want, someone has to go if you're not going to lose somebody. I mean, no matter what, you have to lose someone onto that defensive end. And we'll see on what ends up happening.
Well, I mean, I've been surprised. We heard that they were. We haven't heard anything. I mean, that's the thing. At least as far as Raymond, Cedar, Kane.
Besides, the only time we heard was that they were talking to the agents, and that was last week. And now, but I haven't heard a single peep since then on exactly where those talks could be at or anything. It's just been quiet for the Wings for the most part. Like I could check site after site after site, and I'm not going to probably find a single thing on anything that's going on. Like it's just quiet. Like there's not much to really worry about Wings wise.
Right.
Which, I mean, it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Because, I mean, we want to know more about the re-signings.
I think it's a typical thing before the draft. There's not much movement. And then we see what we get. And they get together for the draft and they talk to agents and they talk to other things. And we get some idea of what's going on. And it'll be fun. The draft's like, what, 2 weeks away?
It's getting closer.
Getting closer.
End of June. So we'll see what ends up happening with the draft. But like I said, it's just been a slow off season so far for the Red Wings, but full off season hasn't happened yet, anyways. And we'll see what ends up happening. With that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, share the video around. Let me know what you think so far about all the rumors that randomly pop up. Until next time, see everybody. Soon.